You know where I'm going with this. If you ahead, you already know where I'm going with this. let's vibe for a second. Put you down, was performing, and it ain't no joke. Now with the sound called BDP. Alright, so why am I playing this instrumental? It ain't no joke. This is playing probably on loop in DaBaby's crib. Oh my god. KRS-One. Do you ever think about when you out of here? Oh my god. Now listen. You know, people were talking about Lil Baby, or DaBaby, I just saw, you know, his being out of here, the whole shit, how he flopped, blah, 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 right? This was a little while ago. I didn't chime in because, you know, I just kind of felt like, I hate to be right, and I don't want to necessarily, you know, sort of shit on a person's downfall. But I always think it's interesting how all of a sudden when someone falls off and they're not it anymore, they're not being pushed, and maybe that's what they mean by him being blackballed. I don't think he's necessarily blackballed in the sense of like, we're just not going to play your music. I don't know. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, the dude, he's up. Like, people don't care about him anymore. You know, it obviously was a fad, you know, so it's like on to the next, man. He's not making anything that people are connecting with, that's hot, that's, you know, another gimmick or fad, so he's done, right? But I always think it's interesting how, like, now all of a sudden people are like, oh, DaBaby, he's actually not very good. Yeah, he wasn't good when he came out. He was always whack. But it's now cool to shit on the dude because he's down, right? And rap's funny like that. I mean, I would say the new casuals are funny like that because when DaBaby was popping, y'all were telling me that he was the best thing, and I was an old head because I didn't get it and all this shit. Now y'all ain't even listening to him, right? And as I've said with all of these new rappers, the vast majority of them, they're gonna look more washed and more dusty than freaking KRS-One in a couple years, right? DaBaby is already not mentioned. He is already dusty, okay? He's more dusty than freaking KRS-One, okay? That's why when, you know, the young cats, like, they hate on these legends who clearly put in the work to make great lasting music, and they're like, oh, this person's old and dusty. It's like, okay, we'll give you 6 months. It's that soon, right? We'll give you 2 months. You're gonna be even dustier than that nigga, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna be broker than him probably. You're probably gonna be back in the projects or whatever it is you're doing. We can say, oh yeah, at least they got a nice house out of it. Sure they did, sure. That's all part of the optics, right? They're not hot no more, but they cashed out and now they're sitting on 300 million, right? Believe that shit if you want to believe it, man. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, all these guys that y'all say are hype and the hottest thing ever, a lot of them are straight garbage. And they have one flow and they make the same song over and over again until they can't make the same song over and over again. That's all it is. And y'all are shitting on DaBaby now. But, for example, Lil Baby, who to me is straight trash and has always been trash. I just saw something he did, like a freestyle, on Flex. And I was like, this dude is rapping the same way he's been rapping, okay? Wearing the same clothes he's been wearing, okay? It's about, I tell you that it's boring. It's fucking boring, right? To me. I'm not a fan. Never been a fan of the dude like that. But maybe he's hot. Maybe he's still hot. He still has the look, whatever. But best believe when he does fall off, which might be sooner than you expect, when he does fall off, a lot of people are going to come out the woodwork being like, yo, I never really cared for him. Like, you know, I always thought he was a one-trick pony. You know, he's not really that good, blah, blah. Where were y'all when this dude was hot? You know what I'm saying? You disappeared, right? Scared to think, you know? Scared to look, you shook. It's about the music, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we all have different tastes, okay? You know, what I like might not be what you like. I understand that. We don't all have to like the same shit. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this, though, about rap. And I think, in particular with hip-hop. Hip-hop has there's a way that the music is constructed that when you're really nice with it, when you're dope with it, it's pretty obvious. There's something. There's something that goes, oh, okay, yeah, I like that. That's actually really hot. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to like the exact same rappers the exact same way, but isn't it funny how the rappers that, you know, people want to chase clout with and take pictures with, the great ones, you know, they're all a pretty standard list after a while because it's pretty obvious. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these guys, the new ones, are so bad with the way that they construct the music that it's not even like they have one dope song where you're like, okay, you know, at least you had that one really superb, long-lasting song. No, it's like you're just gonna continue to make the same shit over and over again until you can. All right. Well, enjoy that fall off, man, because it's gonna be steep. That's all it is. Like I said, I'd rather be KRS-One right now than DaBaby. Real shit. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather be Audio 2 than DaBaby. And this is not a knock on Audio 2, you know, Giz and, you know, Milk. No, it's not a knock on them. But again, what I'm talking about is those who add to the culture versus those who subtract, right? It's very easy to water some shit down. It's very easy to take something that's been built, that people have spent decades building, that's dope as hell. You know what I'm saying? It's very easy to just water that shit down. There's nothing special about someone going to water shit down. What's special is about someone that, you know, builds on something, that adds a brick to this house that we call hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That's hard. That's special. And that's why the people who have done that get the respect. And those who haven't, well, you know, they get their little time in the sun, make a little money, and then they're done. If they make money. Because, you know, the record business, shady as fuck, as you probably might know a little bit about. And people aren't even buying music anymore. And you're telling me that these guys are super rich and they're making tons of money? Sure. Lastly, this song. I don't know if I've played this before. This might be my favorite Kanye beat ever. Yeah, it might just be. It's top 5 for me, I would say. This is one of the best beats Kanye ever made. I told you were right about Kanye, huh? See, I remember when I was talking about Kanye, I've been saying all the stuff I've said about Kanye, and you can just search. Like, if you want to know what I've said about Kanye, just search in my channel, okay? It was obvious. A lot of this sort of coon energy that you're getting from Kanye, to me, was obvious from day one. And I said this back then too. Honestly, you can probably pull up the receipts if you dig deep enough. I've been on forums, you know what I'm saying? I've been on forums for decades, so I probably said that shit back then too. I just knew it, man. You know, Kanye talking all that, like, anytime he's got something to sell, he's like, okay, all right, let me talk down on black folk. Let me just say some shit that'll get some attention, right? What's easy? Slap that shit. That's Kanye. Messy projects, you know, off the cuff, say some delusional shit. But there's an audience that likes this shit, and this is the whole point, right? Kanye is mediocrity on a pedestal. He was mediocrity on a pedestal back then, and he's especially now. We knew what it was. I mean, the way I saw people rush to give this guy accolades and props is super hilarious to me. And I just knew it, man. This dude, everything about him was aimed at this white R&B casual bass and shit. You know what I'm saying? This is the type of cat that was talking about Ralph Lauren sweaters and Warner, and not like dope Ralph Lauren sweaters. I'm talking about that preppy Harvard College, like, I'm an old white guy, rhythmless white guy sweaters. He was giving me that vibe back then. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't Donald Trump in his like new workout plan video or some shit back then? You know what I'm saying? Like, Kanye is the type of cat that will rock some shit because an old white man rocked it, not because it's actually dope. That's what I'm talking about. And I knew this shit about him back then. So when people are like, oh, he changed his mom, and so your mom, the death of your mom is going to turn into a coon, stop it. Stop it. You relate to this nigga. You relate to this dude with the coonish, someone who's like really nondescript in the grand scheme of things, who's not that great, right, and never was, but you relate to him because you see him, you winning, and you want to win with him. That's the whole point, man. It's all optics. As I've said, this shit, it's optics. This rap game is just devolved into optics. The music itself is like not even important. No one cares about the music, right? Kendrick Lamar, someone who I've always gone in on. All optics, that whole shit. You know what I'm saying? Kendrick's whole appeal is that he's a guy who can say deep shit, quote unquote, but really he's an awards and, you know, streams chaser. He's an accolades dude. That's the optics. It's like, oh my God, look at this guy who, again, nondescript, has no real charisma. on the mic, but he, you know, there's something that mediocrity people see in him. It relates to the casuals that like him and shit, right? That here's this guy who's kind of like not really that special, right? But he gets all these accolades and he gets all these cosigns and he's winning out here.